Good evening, ladies and gentlemen.
Good, thank you.
I'd like to welcome everyone to the school committee meeting of December 4th. This is our regular scheduled meeting. However, we don't have our regular scheduled moderator. And she, Mrs. Vugan is ill, very ill. I spoke to her earlier today. And I can just say that for her to miss a school committee meeting, she's pretty sick. So we all wish her well, and hope that she can recover very, very soon. So you'll just have to bear with me. I've done this a couple of times, but you know, being of advanced chronology, you forget sometimes what you're doing. So if I mess up, I'm sure that my board members, and I'm going to hit Kenny. Oh, hello, Kenny. And so bear with me if I forget or if my advanced chronology catches up with me. At this particular point in time, we have a lot of guests and we have a lengthy agenda, so I'd like to get started. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to address the school committee at this particular time for public participation? Seeing none, we'll move on to good news. Madam Superintendent?
Thank you. I would like to invite Mr. Palladino and Devin Cleveland to come forward. And I'll turn it over to Mr. Palladino.
Oh, great. Well, we'd like to recognize Devin, another one of our Abigail Adams scholars, senior at Wareham High School. Unfortunately, he had another commitment the night of the recognition, so we want to bring him up and recognize him tonight. And congratulate him on his scholarship, and obviously a great student athlete as well, I might mention, and very involved in Wareham High School. So congratulations, Devin.
Okay, and now we're ready for the happening video.
Happening video.
Happening video.
Unfortunately, we have no popcorn.
What you're going to see in our video tonight, the Minot Forest Elementary Kindergarten hosted a Thanksgiving celebration with their grandparent or special people. The Wareham High School Code Club delivered more than 1,500 non-perishable food items to the Damien Place in East Wareham. It was collected with a joint drive with the 99 restaurant. The Wareham Honor Society hosted Dighton, Rehoboth, and Bourne for the annual Honor Bowl today. The students answered questions on topics ranging from history to literature to Kentucky Fried Chicken. Yes, that fast food restaurant. Wareham beat Bourne, but lost to DR. Bourne also lost to DR, but we had a very impressive showing. The Wareham JROTC members helped deliver the Thanksgiving food baskets to our families with the Community Resource Network. The Wareham High School welcomed 8th graders on Tuesday. DECA students spoke of all the school offerings and gave the 8th graders a gift, a class of 2018 t-shirt. As noted at the last school committee meeting, WCTV and Jim Bruce of Morris Lumber donated a news desk to the Wareham High School. We're showing pictures on this one of the desk. Our Wareham High School participated in the Best Buddies 5K Gobbler on November 23rd and raised $1,545. We have photos from the Wareham Educational Toast the Teacher event. The Wareham Middle School PTA hosted the annual pig race just before the Thanksgiving break. The cooperative school and teachers cooked breakfast for their students. Our Wareham Tigers qualified for the Pop Warner Super Bowl. That's fabulous. We're very proud of them. The Minot Forest kindergartners recently published an alphabet book through Student Treasures. The Viking Theater will be presenting a production of The Good Doctor. And if you would like to attend, there are tickets available at the high school. The Wareham Color Guard will host its annual pancake breakfast from 8 to 12 this Saturday at the high school. Tickets are $7 at the door. The Wareham High School will host a 7th grade freshman orientation ice cream social on December 12th at 7 o'clock. A tour of the school, information about course offerings, extracurricular opportunities will be part of the presentation. We encourage and invite you to attend. And finally, the Wareham Band and Choir Concert will host their annual holiday concert on December 12th at 7 o'clock. So, we're ready for the video.
Hold, please. Who did that to me, Steve Ruiz?
Palladino doing hard labor.
Smallest box.
Caught on video.
It was the smallest box.
I think it had bread in it.
Is that the player? Is that the next 3 nights?
Okay.
Thank you, Madam Superintendent. As you can see, not to editorialize, but I've never been shot in editorializing, so here we go. We've got a school system to be proud of. So I really, really like the fact that for the first time in a long time, you know, we're really making an honest effort to put our best foot forward and to not accentuate the positive, because we don't have to accentuate the negative, but we have to work overtime to accentuate the positive, and I really appreciate the efforts of everyone in doing that and letting it be brought forward to the community, because I think the community, they'll believe it if we show it, and we have to keep showing how good we really are, and we're a really good school system. Thank you, Madam Superintendent.
Thank you.
At this particular time, does anyone have any comment at all at this time, so we can move on? Okay. At this particular time, I'd like to get a motion to approve the minutes of first November 16th, which was, I believe, our joint meeting.
Move approval.
I have a motion to approve the minutes of November 16th. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion or corrections, omissions or deletions? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? It's 4-0-0. And now I'll entertain a motion to accept the minutes of November 20th, which is a regular school committee meeting.
So moved.
I have a motion to accept the minutes of November 20th. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Any discussion, corrections, omissions, or deletions? Seeing none, hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? 4-0-0. At this particular time, I'm honored to have a special presentation by the JROTC students. We're very, very proud of them. They represent our school system very, very well. So without further ado, we'll have the presentation.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen.
Good
members
evening.
of the committee.
Could you introduce yourself?
I'm Major Mark Gabriel, retired, new member at Wareham High School as a senior Army instructor for the Army
Welcome.
JROTC program. Thank you. Tonight, to my right, your left, I'd like to go ahead and introduce who's with me here tonight. Before introducing the students, I'd like Sergeant First Class Sherry Hudson to stand up and recognize her first. You can just go stand. It's been a seamless transition as I moved into Wareham High School. It's only been a few months now, but it's been an outstanding experience, and that's because of Sergeant First Class Sherry Hudson. She's been there about 6 going on 7 years, and she's truly the institution and the glue that keeps that going day to day. So thank you, Sherry, for making that transition smooth for me.
Thank you.
Right here to my right, your left, is the Cadet Battalion Commander for the Viking Battalion, and that is Cadet John Maha. He's going to brief tonight. And then to his right is the Executive Officer, Kelly Peterson. She will also brief. And then to her right, the Command Sergeant Major for the battalion, Corey Harankowitz. I got it right. I told Corey tonight, I said, I'm going to pronounce your name right, because I've probably gotten it wrong the last several months. So he'll also brief as well. Behind them, you guys will stand, we have the Viking Battalion staff. The first gentleman here in front of you, he represents the S1 section. There's primary staff officers and assistant officers. They obviously all couldn't be here tonight. But the first gentleman here, he represents the S1 section. That's personnel and administration within the battalion. The second young lady, she represents the S2 section, which is all the security and intelligence. The third student represents the S3 section, that's operations and training. And then the fourth young lady, she represents the S4 section, and that's logistics and maintenance. So this staff works for this command team, and they do all the day-to-day functions that are a huge part of the program. So you have students teaching students, and students mentoring students, and working together as one big team. And I couldn't say enough good things in this first few months of getting to know all these young adults. Go to next slide. Next slide. Here's the agenda for tonight. Most informational type briefing agendas, but there are a few things I want to point out. The students are going to do the majority of the talking tonight because they've put together this briefing. They've also put together a small audio video DVD of some testimonials of other cadets in the program, some of the teachers, and then also a couple of the parents. Shortly, I'm going to turn it over to Sergeant Hudson. She's going to touch on the purpose and the importance of the brief tonight, the program resource support, what the U.S. Army brings to Wareham High School, and then the cadets will take it over. John will talk about the mission statement at the high school level, the task organization, how the Viking Battalion is structured and arrayed, and how they work together from freshman year throughout senior year. And then he's going to hit on the program curriculum and the specifics about what we teach, and more importantly, what they're involved in their academics. The executive officer is going to talk about the past and the present, not only what they're involved in day-to-day in the classroom, but more importantly, what they're involved in within the community as well. And then Corey's going to touch on the history, where it started. The program's been around 8 going on 9 years at Wareham High School, and then close it up with the testimonial. So pending any questions up front, I'll go ahead and turn it right over to Sergeant Hudson.
Good evening. My name is Sergeant First Class Sherry Hudson. I'm going to be talking to you tonight about the purpose of JOTC. The purpose is to provide basic program information and to inform the school committee on specific curriculum goals and objectives. Please pay particular attention to how many times our cadets talk about Wareham 21st century learning expectations that are truly embedded into the JOTC program. JOTC brings a budget to the school, as you can see in the resources that provide. And in areas of the school, there are over 20 computers and monitors that belong to the JOTC program, and we let the school use those. I will be followed by Cadet Battalion Commander, Cadet Lieutenant Colonel John Maher.
Good evening, everyone. So here you see what we call a mission statement. Now, the broad statement is to motivate young people to become better citizens. Now, that applies to all battalions throughout the Massachusetts and the nation. There are over 1,000 different schools that have this program. This is more of a micro sense where it's pertaining specifically to our school. Now, you can see there's a lot of different bullet points, so I want to touch on a couple of specific ones. The first is that we want to encourage citizenship and education. Citizenship being community, outreaching. We want to help out with the community. And then education being, we want to provide the means of graduation. We want to push people towards that. We're not, trying to push people towards recruiting. That kind of brings me to my second one. We're not a recruiting program. A lot of people think when they're in 8th grade, parents think, I don't want my students, my kids, going into this program because they wear uniforms, they do PT, they have different things that are revolving around the military. But in reality, we don't push them towards the military. We want to push them towards graduation. We want people to go through high school and go to college. The third, however, is that we want people to build bonds and relationships between them, between each cadet. Some of the people that are in the program are going to be friends until graduation, and then even after graduation, we're young adults going to college. Some of these friendships and relationships, they're not going to end. Here you see a task organization. This is how the battalion is structured. Now, up here at the top, you have a commander, an executive officer, and the CSM. That's command team, us three here. Now, like many organizations and a bunch of different corporations, anything like that, you'll see that it closely resembles them in some way, shape, or form. It also can resemble, different schools, the principal, vice principal, deans, teachers, etc. Now, the main point that needs to be made is that this isn't a program that's run by the teachers necessarily. It's run by the students and supervised by the teachers. So people up at the top are the ones we help make the decisions that run the program. And we also teach other students, other cadets, what it means to be a leader and how they can, be a leader when they get in position once we graduate. Here you see our program curriculum. A lot of people are confused when it comes to this because they think, well, what do you guys learn in JRTC? What do you guys teach in classes? Well, the first year you learn primarily military customs and respects in that aspect. You learn different types of factual knowledge about the program, about history and stuff like that. The second year, you learn first aid and government structure. The third year, you'll learn about how staff works and how it operates, how it's organized and what their jobs are. Fourth year, you'll learn about the power bases and influence. It's how you apply the leadership that you've been learning over the 4 years. The point to be made, however, is that you start as a Let 1, which is the first year, and you apply it all 4 years. You start as a Let 1 as a freshman, and you move up through the years. You get to apply it in different events, different teams, different, different situations we're in. Next. All right, so this is another form of the curriculum right here. These are different after-school activities, extracurriculars. They're not mandatory for all the cadets, but we always have a team every year. So you can see that we have 6 different teams that we participate in 3 different seasons. With these 6 different teams, it's not run by the teachers. Teachers are obviously there to supervise because safety is #1 importance, but everybody's taught by the students. The captains and co-captains teach the teams. And then even after the school year is over, we have what's called the JCLC program, which is during the summer you spend a week at summer camp. Followed by me is going to be Cadet Executive Officer Major Kelly Gibson.
One reason that our JROTC program is such a tight-knit family is because we participate in so many events throughout the calendar year. On average, we participate in 2 events per month. Each event gives cadets an opportunity to take a leadership role. The types of events that we participate in are primarily community service projects, such as the Toys for Tots drive that we will be participating in on December 14th at the Wareham Crossing. I will now be followed by Command Sergeant Major Corey Holmowitz.
Hello. As John had specified earlier, we are not a recruitment program, although JRC had originated as that nearly 100 years ago. But throughout that, it has evolved into more of a program devoted to the citizenship, education, lifelong learning, leadership, friendship, ethics, communication, and motivation. This will allow us to prepare for the real life. All the young men and women will graduate high school with these traits and attributes, and we will be able to take a vital role in adult society and function well and contribute to it. Personally, I believe I've taken everything out of that, everything that I've spoken of out of this program, and I believe any cadet here could say the same thing about it.
Ladies and gentlemen, what we want to do, we just have a quick video. It'll take like 3 minutes. That will show you some personal testimonies from some of the other cadets in the program and some of the fellow teachers as well, and what they think about Army JROTC at Wareham High School.
I'm Cadet Private Roach.
What does JROTC mean to you?
JROTC, it's a program like no other class, and it kind of builds your self-esteem, and you can do more than just sit down and take notes. You actually experience more, and that's pretty much what JROTC means to me.
My name is Cadet Corporal Brad. What does JROTC mean to you? When I think of JROTC, I automatically think of brotherhood. Because when I first joined, I knew these kids, but I just knew seeing them JROTC kind of going on as family. What do you think of the Army JROTC program at Wareham High School? I think it's a fantastic program. It's a great leadership program. It's a great program where you see growth of individuals, freshmen coming in, beginning year, and see unbelievable growth their senior year. They do amazing community service activity. It's great for school. The federal government gives great resources coming into school. So overall, there's just a lot of great positives that the JROTC this year. Okay. That's right. Hi, my name is Cadet Staff Sergeant Cadet.
What does JROTC mean to you?
JROTC to me is, it's a family. When I joined this, I honestly didn't even mean it. I was just kind of put in here. But this program, it's something special. It's not like any other class. You don't just come here and sit down. You come here and you have fun. It's literally just a family. It's like a family reunion every class. And that's probably one of the best things I love about the class.
What do you think about Army JROTC at Wareham High School?
I think Army JROTC is a great program to get students ready for life outside of high school.
What do you think about Army JROTC at Wareham High School?
I think it's a great program that helps you get really involved in the community and helps you learn a lot of great skills.
So what do you think about the Army ROTC?
The Army JROTC program?
Yeah.
In high school, I brought that program to this school 8 years ago.
Okay, Mike.
It's been very successful. It gives a lot of students a niche, if you will.
Yep.
It focuses on leadership, integrity, and some other fun things, first aid and so forth. I think it's a great asset to this community.
What do What do you think about Army JROTC at Wareham High School?
I think it's a great program that promotes a lot of citizenship and a lot of fun in the process.
What do you think of the JRTC program at Wareham High School?
A lot of people think it's just a military program, and it's certainly not. It provides leadership, organization skills for students, and also provides an opportunity to exercise those skills in the context of the program. I think a lot of students who may not normally be in student council have found their niche in JRTC as officers, and leading other students and organizing events.
What do you think of the JRTC program at Wareham High School?
I feel that the JROTC program at Wareham High School is very instrumental for the students because they're learning commitment, they're learning behavior, they're learning teamwork.
Hi, I'm Cadet First Lieutenant Garrett Fillion.
What does JRTC mean to you?
JRTC means to me be a better citizen by example, and teaching me leadership skills, and it means coming together with a group of people, becoming really close, have a family, and then using teamwork to accomplish all the same thing.
That concludes the briefing. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for having us tonight. The kids were very excited about putting this together, the actual PowerPoint presentation and the video. I think they've done a great job. I've only been here a few months, but after serving 23 years in the service, I was looking for something to do to give back, to be part of something bigger and better than where I came from. And once I met these students and all the cadets in the program, I can truly tell you that I'm very impressed with them, and every day in the classroom is an excitement, and it's an excitement because of them. So at this time, if you have any questions, the cadets would be more than willing, or myself or Sergeant Hudson, to answer any of your questions.
Thank you very much, Major. Thank you very much, young men and young women. Like I said before, you do make us proud. And if you were excited about being here this evening, let me tell you, we were more excited about having you. So thank you very much for taking time out of your schedule. And I know it's busy because we're all, you know, getting ready for midterms or whatever. So thanks again for coming in. I'll have any comments or discussion from the committee. I'd like to start with Madam Superintendent, if I could.
Thank you.
You're very welcome.
I would like to know if you would be willing to visit our elementaries and perhaps read to our elementary students, because you seem like you're very wonderful role models. So I invite you. We'll be setting it up, and I take it that that would be a yes. So thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Mr. Fonce?
I'm going to put on my other hat. I'd love if you have the time to come down to the Boys and Girls Club. We have volunteers from Mass Maritime. They send 2 cadets every day, and they work with the kids, and the kids look up to them. They're in uniform. They're teaching them discipline. I'm proud of every one of you here, and hope to see a lot of you in the community. Just one question anybody can answer is, how many cadets are in the program now?
Cadet Battalion has 60 cadets and 3 extra participating cadets.
Can you just take me through the average day? I assume that all 60 aren't in one classroom. That's right. Impossible. Are you broken up into different structures?
Yes, so we have 8 periods at the school. So, you know, you have 1, 2, 3, and 4 periods, 1, 2, 3, and 4 on one day. The next day they'll have 5, 6, 7, 8. So we, the LET levels, as I mentioned earlier, are broken up so that LET 1 and LET 2, they're the freshmen and sophomores, will have Sergeant Hudson as their teacher. And then once you become a junior and a senior, you'll have Major Gabriel. And when you go to the class, it's just like any other class. You'll have it like history with English. You'd go to that class as an elective, and you'd have it for half a year.
Very good. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Sweat?
I'm going to pick on John again, if you don't mind. First of all, I congratulate you. You're an extremely articulate representative of JROTC, and I don't say that to every student I meet. I want you to go back to when you first joined JROTC. how do you think it's contributed to the person you are today? How would you be a different person if you hadn't been in JROTC?
Well, for starters, I don't think I'd be able to stand up in front of the school board and audience and give a presentation. But,
And do it so well.
Thank you. But also aside from that, it's a matter of, being able to make decisions and leading a group of people. It might just be high school students, we're all peers here, we're all friends. So it's easier to do it with that, but, I'd be able to stand up in front of a group of freshmen, be a role model, and lead them towards whatever the mission will be. So,
That's a great answer, thank you.
Thank you. You have a question?
So, I don't have a question, but I really admire everything you guys do. I may be older than some of you, but I admire you and look up to all of you, and the teachers as well for donating your time and energy to help get these students to lead other students. So thank you for coming.
Thank you, Nicole. Okay. Mr. Flaherty?
Thank you. Probably addressing this to the major. How many people typically each year stick with this and move on and stay maybe with the military, pursue a military career?
I apologize up front, being new just a few months, I don't have all the statistics, but I know it's a small percentage. For example, right now, out of all the juniors and seniors I teach, there's actually only one that's already contracted to go into the active armed forces. It's actually John, and he will go into the Marines after graduation. There are another 3 to 4 individuals that are seriously thinking about going into the military, but they're just thinking about it. So they know that myself and Sergeant Hudson are there for them if they have questions and they wanted to pursue it further. We do every once a year at Wareham High School. The ASVAB is offered there, but it's offered more as a overall placement exam to see how they're doing and to gauge what they might do well as out in any part of life, whether they go to college right away or they go into the trades or a business sector. We do not use that tool as a recruitment tool. In fact, Sergeant Hudson and I are we closely monitor when they come because recruiters are the proctors for that placement exam, and we make sure that that is their main role. They're just proctoring, and they do not even talk to any of the students while that's going on. So a very small percentage.
And is it expected when they do move on, are they expected to be officers, or might they be enlisted?
They could be enlisted, but the curriculum that we teach is more officer-based, and it's more officer-based because the Junior Army ROTC program at the high school, if they decided to go into college, that is a feeder, a smaller program for the senior ROTC. I went to senior ROTC at University of Rhode Island, and so everyone that goes through a senior ROTC program is going to receive a commission, be an officer. It could be in any one of the 3 components in the Army: the active service regular Army, the Army Reserves, or the National Guard, which the National Guard in Massachusetts has an outstanding program and outstanding benefits. I got a full scholarship and a full ride to a bachelor's degree through Senior Army OTC.
To put it in context, if I could, we have more students going into the military after their senior year that are not involved in JROTC than are involved, just statistically speaking over the years, so I hope that puts it into context.
Well, yeah, maybe with the role models, as they say, you know.
Sure.
And now to stay with that same line there, when being in JROTC, when they do decide to stay with the military career, do they get a leg up being in JROTC? Do they go in as O2 or something like that?
Not on the officer side. If someone decided to go enlisted, like John, for example, because he's done 4 years in the program, he will go in the Marines, and it changes from time to time. So what I'm saying today might change 3 months from now. But right now, he'll go in as an E3.
E3.
He'll get a letter from me. He has the potential, because of his leadership capabilities and what he's demonstrated in his 4 years, to get not an official award, but recognition from me as a distinguished junior Army ROTC cadet while at Wareham High School.
Okay.
And that doesn't sound like a lot, but that will be the first thing in his portfolio moving forward in his military career.
Well, that's actually pretty huge. How much time does that save him if he went the conventional route?
That saves him on or about, for the average enlisted soldier, about 2 years.
Yeah. And he probably goes into boot camp E1 and comes out E3, right?
Correct.
Yeah. All right, that's great. Marksmanship I saw up there. Where do you guys do that?
It's actually done competition-wise. There's 12, 13 other schools in Massachusetts that participate in the marksmanship program. So the competitions are done at different high schools that host them. I think the first one is at East Boston.
But is there a range in East Boston?
Normally,
Actually, they do it on the gym floor. They have everything, you know, safety,
Yeah.
big safety, and
What-
they have everything locked down, and they do it on the gym floor.
What sort of caliber?
it's actually air rifles.
Okay,
So
okay.
they're pellets.
Gotcha.
They have to follow the Olympic safety regulations. And
Okay.
throughout history, there's never been any type of major or catastrophic type event with air rifles. armed.
Sure, sure. And likewise, in the regular military, they see that they're wearing ribbons. Can you describe what they mean in the JROTC, some of them?
I'm going to turn that over to Sergeant Hudson.
Okay, some of them are for their teams, if they're on the marksmanship team, drill, color guard. When they go from let 1 through let 2, let 3, let 4, they'll get a ribbon, and then when they stay on with the program, they'll get a lamp. That means they moved on to second, the third, and the fourth. And then we have an awards program, usually in April or May, and they get certain ribbons for what they've done while they're in the program.
Very good, thank you.
Thank you. I just have just one question and maybe a couple of comments, but I did go to the awards program. It was fantastic. And please let us know when it is, because I'd love to attend again. How many schools in our reasonable facsimile here, or reasonable area, has JROTC?
We are the only school on Cape Cod that has JROTC.
How about in this area?
Is New Bedford, Brockton.
Brockton and New Bedford?
Yeah.
Okay, so basically, I'm going to toot our own horn again. So basically, this is another unique part of Wareham Public Schools. And it's, again, a way that we have, just put our best foot forward and showed our leadership in terms of providing meaningful programs to our kids. So I wanted to point that out, that there is no other school in this area that has this, not only a quality program, but any kind of a program.
Yes, sir.
That is great.
And
That is
sir, to make
terrific.
another point along with that, I was just teaching the kids a couple of weeks ago about power bases and influence, and how what they're learning in leadership, power bases, influence, and negotiating is going to move with them throughout high school and into the future, through college, no matter what field they pick to work in, no matter where they go, whether they go to college right away, later in life. We were pointing out people like Donald Trump went to a military academy. That's where he started, at a military academy in New York. And even though this isn't a military academy and the curriculum, it's not run that way and it's not meant to run that way, they get within this curriculum some of those same basic principles that someone like a Donald Trump received at his military academy in New York. And I think that's very impressive. The state of Rhode Island only has 2 JROTC programs at high schools, only 2 in the whole state. So there's not, and they're not big programs, there's not a lot of kids. Where Massachusetts has 13, like Sergeant Hudson said, there's only 1 here within the vicinity. It's a very, very big deal. And I think the ownership is on Sergeant Hudson and I to come up with a better and bigger type recruitment plan to figure out how we get these cadets to get up in front of younger students and motivate them prior to them ever even reaching the high school.
Right. Well, I'm all for having them perform some service for us, particularly at the middle school. I think that'd be great, and I think it'd be great for them. but I also think it would be great for our middle school students. And the comment that I want to make is, it's absolutely self-evident that this program has really sharpened their self-awareness and provided, an element of service and community services which they can build on no matter what they do in life or their education. Again, I want to give the thanks of the Wareham Public Schools, the school committee, to what you do for our community. And, it does make us unique, and it does make our school system, really forward-thinking in so many different ways. And you are a shining example of something that really works out and works out well. So again, thank you for your work, and we really appreciate you coming tonight. Thank you. Okay, moving right along. I'd like to have a report on the Superintendent's Welcomes Challenge.
And I
Are
would
we
like-
ready to go with that?
We are. I'd
Okay.
like to invite Mrs. Fondulis and Mrs. Manning to come forward, and Dr. Marks, if you'd like to join them, because that's up to you, and Jamie.
Good evening. Thank you for having us here from the Office of Beyond School Time. At the opening day convocation at the end of August this year, Superintendent Shaverhood played a video that she created, We Are Wareham, and the song that went along with that video was Philip Phillips' Home, and the lyrics repeat, we're going to make this place your home. Shortly after that, she issued a challenge to staff and administrators to create a warm and welcoming environment for staff, students, parents, and community members alike. So when people enter every school in this district, they feel like this is their home away from home. This is the place where most staff, students, and administrators spend most of their time and their time away from home. So we have created a video along with Jamie, and we'd like to play that for you and then talk more about the challenge. And the winner of the challenge is here as well, and we'll be speaking shortly.
Was incredible. It's Michelle's woman and her vision. So this is our new entranceway.
Very good, thank you.
Tissues, yeah. But as you can see, every school was presented with a cake that had a welcome challenge on it. The staff of each school had to fill out a proposal and send it to the superintendent. And once the proposal was accepted and sent to us, we then gave each school through grant funds through the Beyond School Time office some funds to buy some initial supplies, but they went above and beyond. They went to Home Depot, Lowe's, I mean, the staff, the parents, the PTA, community members, and they're not done. I mean, there are plans for spring when the weather gets better again, and they're still working on the inside of their school, so it sparked a program in the schools that is going to continue.
It did, and even today we received about a dozen pictures from Wareham High School. Even though the contest ended a couple of
They're
weeks
still
ago,
working.
they're still working and they're creating artwork, and the staff members and the students are still involved and excited about making their school their home.
Very good. Any discussion? Madam Superintendent?
I would just like to thank Jane and Mo for their help, because when we brought this idea to them, they said, absolutely. And so they really coordinated and made this take off. So thank you very much. And they probably will run the next time we say, hey, we have an idea. But thank you.
Start at this end. Comments?
Just incredible. Like you said, making it their own, you know. I don't know what to say. It's I'm just so happy to see it.
Jeff?
I love the spirit, I love the enthusiasm. Keep it up.
Mr. Fonts?
You done? That might have been his smallest comment ever. I love Jeff. Great job. I'm just glad I wasn't on the group that had to pick a winner, because they were all winners. They all did a fantastic job. Every school looks great. And I want to thank the superintendent for coming up with that challenge, and you guys all did a great job. So I saw 5 winners.
Nicole?
Yeah, as Mr. Font said, I just want to thank the superintendent for starting this program, because I know personally my school feels much more welcoming when I walk in now than it used to, so thank you very much.
And again, my personal thanks to everyone involved and the commitment to make it work. But I know that I say this a lot. I've been around for a long time. But, you know, there isn't a whole lot unique about what you saw in that film. It's just that on that video. It's just that it's on video. Because Wareham Public Schools has always been a nurturing, caring, family-centered system. And I think you can see now, you have, you know, real evidence that it does exist, and that people do care, and they care about each other, they care about students, and it really is a family atmosphere. And for that, for me, for the number of years that I've been in Wareham, that really hasn't changed that much. It's always been a caring, nurturing place for kids to learn. So thank you for bringing it to the forefront. Thank you, Madam Superintendent. It was a great job, and let's keep it going. Maybe we need a monthly challenge, I don't know, but let's just keep it going. Keep the ball rolling. I know, here you go. But anyways, just keep it going. And, you know, just keep doing what you're doing, and everything will be fine. We do have a great system. Thank you again for your efforts. Next order of business is we have a request for a trip, Wareham High School.
Yes, that's
These are tickets.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, Italia.
Good evening, everyone. I'm here
Mrs.
with
Freitas.
2 of my colleagues. I have Ms. Prada, who is a past chaperone on one of our tours. on 2 of our tours actually, and Ms. Pont from the middle school, who has also been a chaperone and a parent on one of the tours as well. This is my 6th time sitting here before the school committee, asking for your permission, or your blessing, I should say, on one of our trips to abroad. This time we are going to Italy. We have been there before when we went to Italy and France a few years ago. Students came to my office in droves at the beginning of the year, asking us when would we be traveling again, and I asked them for their ideas to get back to me, and the trip of choice was Italy. They all wanted to go to Italy. So we are here today, and we did choose a tour. We had an informational meeting of interest a few weeks back, and the students chose the trip for Milan and Rome, Venice, Florence, and with an excursion to Pompeii as well. So the information that you have before you explains the itinerary a little bit. You also have the pricing for the tour, and some information about the enrollment and what's covered on that trip as well. I can certainly go over those things for you. The price of the tour covers all of the expenses for the hotels, the transportation while we're there, any buses or the coaches that we do have a private coach for us. We also have the airfare round trip, 2 meals a day, all of the entrance fees to all of the different places of interest that we will see. We have a full-time tour director that is with us 24/7, really taking care of our every need. All of our pre-planning tour consultant ahead of time, and we have tour guides that are on all of the historical sites that are expert tour guides for that particular city or that particular site. And we also have some art and cultural experiences, experiential things that happen while we're on tour as well. Ms. Pont, I'm going to hand it over to you as a parent and as a participant last time. I would like for you to just talk about what the benefits were for your child as a student in regards to the culture.
I will say, by my son's own accord, my son's a senior, so last year he was a junior when we went on the trip. And I tried not to be a hovering mom while I was there and kind of let him do his thing. Generally, for anyone who knows him, he's very quiet. He's, very low-key kind of kid. By the middle of the tour, he was on the balcony in Madrid saying hola to young ladies walking by on the street. He came out of his shell, to say the least.
It's got to be something in the water.
He had a great time when he was asked this year to write a senior essay to potentially give for college admissions. He chose to write about this trip as a life-changing experience, as an experience that taught him about how to interact with people he didn't know, both people from his own school, people from other places that he met. We met other students on tour from other parts of the United States. We certainly met lots of wonderful people in Spain and interacted with locals and tour guides, and he saw it himself as something that changed him for the better, made him more outgoing and more self-confident. And that's carried over. Teachers have said to me, he's changed since he came back. He smiles more, he's more outgoing. He also, whether he knew it or not, learned about Spanish culture, learned about Spanish history. As a former social studies teacher, I could not have been more excited about the culture, the history, the art that we saw. And I have to say, all the students on tour got excited about it. That when we went to the Royal Palace, there was a true sense of excitement about, wow, this is, someone really lived here, and this was real, and they did this, and the kids were very interested. The tour provided excellent guides who not only were knowledgeable, but were passionate about what they were showing us and what they were sharing about their cities. The excursion we took to Toledo, the tour guide there had such love and such passion for his city that we couldn't help but just be overwhelmed with excitement as well. We were blessed with beautiful weather, and it could not have been a nicer experience for either of us.
And Ms. Prada also traveled with us, actually 3 times, and her son came as well to Greece with us a few years ago. And I don't know if she would like to speak about that experience.
He was just talking about the other day, saying that that was the best part of growing up, the opportunity to go to Greece to see things that you only learn about in class. He has some learning disabilities and severe ADHD, and he paid more attention on a trip like this than he did in the classroom, and came back with a love of other countries and said it was such a great opportunity. And I didn't think that he would want to go, and I kind of pushed him at first, and he had a wonderful time, and it was the best experience, I think, of his life thus far, and wonderful opportunity for me to be able to see him learn to love learning for a change. And I thought it was I couldn't say more about that as an opportunity for my son.
I'll also say that when my son found out about this trip, he said, well, I want to go to Italy too. And I said, well, you'll be away at college. It won't be your college vacation. And he's still pouting a little whenever it comes up in the house. He's kind of like, I don't see why I can't go to Italy. And you can't miss a week of college in April. But yeah, he would go again in a minute.
I can go on about how wonderful this is. The immersion into the culture is really the experiential learning that the students get from that. You can't replicate from a classroom experience. You can't replicate from a video. You can't replicate from an online video or an interactive video online. You can't replicate it from a project-based something that you do in class. The culture, the geography, the history, the architecture, any of the arts that we get involved in while we're there is just something that just really cannot be replicated. I've been 6 times with students to different countries, and I'm still impressed and I'm still excited every time that we go, because looking at the world through our students' eyes and seeing them get so excited about learning about past history and culture, it really is a truly rewarding experience for any teacher, any parent. Any questions that you have at this time are certainly welcome.
Thank you. We'll start this in. Mr. Flaherty?
I'll wait, thank you.
Okay. Mr. Fonts?
And unless I missed it, how many students are going?
We don't know just yet. We had a
So
meeting.
you haven't started the process?
Well, we have started the process, just as an informational. We always come to school committee first before we start enrolling students. And right now, we have about 30.
About 30 so far that have come into the office for the informational packets. Very excited, and about 19 who have checked off that they are definitely intending on going right now. If the trip goes through, they'll register today.
And what is the limit that you could take?
The limit, I don't know. We haven't had a possible problem with too many students in the past. We do have a 6-to-1 ratio that we have to keep based on the safety guidelines with EF tours. We have to have 1 adult for every 6 students. So depending on and we do have chaperones lined up already. Ms. Pont has agreed to be a chaperone. Ms. Prada has agreed to be a chaperone. Ms. Debonese is in the wings if we need another chaperone. She's our school librarian. And Mr. St. Julian is also in the wings as another chaperone if we need another one, depending on the numbers that we have. Most trips we're running somewhere between 24 and 30. So I'm anticipating at least that. By the interest that we've had so far, I'm thinking it might be more this time.
Additionally, on this last trip when we went to Spain, I offered the opportunity for 8th grade students who would be freshmen at the high school, was part of why I got involved, so that 8th grade students from the high school could go as a freshman and have that much time to become invested in the project and, save to pay for the trip. And so it'll be another bridge between the high school and the middle school. If this is approved this evening, I'll be having an informational meeting for 8th graders at the middle school next week so that they may attend when they're freshmen.
I would like to add that most of the 8th graders that were freshmen, almost all of them are the ones that are coming back to go on this next trip.
Yeah.
Something tells me that you probably didn't have to twist anyone's arm to be a chaperone.
No.
No?
No,
Okay.
no.
Thank you.
Mr. Sweat?
Welcome. In all the time that you've been doing these trips, have you ever had a situation where a student wanted to go, but money prevented that student from being able to go?
I'm sure we have. Most of those students probably didn't attend the meetings. I wasn't made aware of anyone in particular. I remember the first trip that we took, there was a student that did have some need, and I won't say how much, or I won't say who did it with me, but myself and another 2 teachers actually made up the difference for that student, but I can't do that for everybody.
My biggest concern about this trip is not that I'm not a major supporter. I think it's a wonderful thing you're doing, and I want to see it continue, is your choice of countries.
It's not my choice.
Excuse me?
Not my choice. It's the student's choice.
Even so, there are extraordinary things happening in Eastern Europe, in the Balkans, one of the best educational systems for a lot of reasons is apparently Finland. There are just so many great places to go, and we're stuck in Europe, Western Europe. And I would love to see us send a message to the students that there's someplace else besides Western Europe to visit. As I said, I could go through a list of all the great accomplishments, whether it's democracy, whether it's economics, whether it's art, all those things are present outside of Eastern Europe, and we're stuck there. Why do you think that is?
Well, I don't feel that we're stuck there, for one thing. I think that a lot of students in Wareham, for many reasons, don't get to travel. They don't travel out of Wareham, they don't travel out of the state, they certainly don't travel out of the country.
I get
And
that.
I think that, for the opportunity to, whether it's to go to England or France or Italy or Spain or Greece, Scotland, those are the countries that I've taken students on trips to. We've also had trips to Costa Rica, and we may have another.
I would avoid Scotland. There's some,
Oh, I love Scotland.
There's some unsavory people.
I love Scotland.
The beverages are good.
Actually, I got my tartan plaid when I was there, to be honest with you. And I will say that I'd love to go to some of those places, but the cost is a little bit prohibitive for our students.
We did do some research and looking ahead of time to be able to present them,
Mhm.
and we wanted to keep the price as low as possible and give those students that opportunity. A lot of them, those places that you're referring to, were over $3,000 plus for just the students, which made it, it's a higher, it's even more difficult for the students to be able to go. So we did try to give them the opportunity to have a lower priced tour.
Thank you.
Nicole?
Hi.
Hi.
I definitely am supporting this trip because there's so much value in going to other countries. I know I'm personally interested in going to the potential Costa Rica trip that might happen. So I'm sorry, I can't go to Italy. But yeah, I'm so looking forward to it for basically everything you said. It's just such an eye-opening experience in every way. So thank you for bringing these trips to us, regardless of where
Thank you,
they're to
Nicole.
or how much they cost.
I hope you get to go to Costa Rica, too.
Madam Superintendent?
Chaperone, if you need one.
There you go.
Okay.
Don't forget Rhonda.
Broaden their horizons. Broaden their horizons. They're reading about all this stuff in all the books for so many grades. They're reading about Greece, reading about Rome, reading about the influence of the Spanish exploration, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Now they can actually experience this. And personally, I like your itinerary. Probably one of the best places I think I've ever been is Pompeii, so I think they'll really, really enjoy that. I know it's just a pile of rocks, but it's a pretty unique pile of rocks. So I say, and I've been preaching experiential education since I've been on the school committee, so And for Wareham kids, it's so important for them. These are lessons that they will never forget. These travel lessons are lessons that they will never forget. And I'll tell you right now, being someone that has taken Wareham kids just about everywhere there is to take them, in the country and out of the country, Wareham kids really, really appreciate the time that we take to travel with them. And I'll tell you, I have never had 1 ounce of problem from Wareham kids when they're traveling. And they're well-behaved, they're very responsive. You tell them to be someplace when they're supposed to be there, and they're there. So I think Wareham kids really appreciate the effort that we take to expose them to these cultures and to this history and broaden their horizons. I recommend it 500%.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Wait.
Thank
No,
you.
you lost your turn.
Well, I said-
No, you lost your turn,
All
sorry.
right,
Go
all
ahead.
right. I heard you mention a whole litany of countries that you've gone to with the kids. I'm trying to understand what you're doing. Is it separate than we had this other trip? I didn't hear Cape Verde, and we had another trip that went to Cape Verde. Is that a separate group?
That was a global education group of students, and that was a very different trip.
Okay, so I mean, is there opportunity for more than one foreign trip per year?
There is another trip in the works for Costa Rica.
Costa Rica? I'd like to go there.
Yeah, we know about that. We approved that already, right?
We have more chaperones waiting for that one too, okay?
I see no reason to discourage this trip at all. I'm happy about it. But I am curious, seeing that you've done this many times, when you go to these other countries, and I'm not that familiar with their laws, but if they have, more relaxed, drinking
We don't
ages,
allow drinking.
You don't allow?
No,
okay.
the EF tours, I mean, they provide a sign-off, like a permission, because their laws are different, as you say, and the culture is different.
Yeah.
Many group leaders that we've met group leaders that do allow their students to drink, have the glass of table wine with dinner, that type of thing. But we just don't go there. And even some of the parents say, well, I'm okay with that. And we say, well, we're not.
Okay.
And if I'm going to be responsible for the students, we don't allow it, regardless of the drinking age. We don't allow them to have that at meals, and certainly at no other time.
So what you're saying, sometimes you've got parent chaperones, and they're like...
Not parent chaperones, we have parent travelers.
Travelers, okay.
Correct.
And what you say goes?
Absolutely.
All right, thank you.
And in fact, the students and the parents sign off on if there are any difficulties with behavior where it presents a safety problem, then, the students are not going to be there with us, and they'll be sent home at the parents' expense.
Okay.
And the parents sign that document ahead of time.
The students and the parents have to sign the document that says they will not drink. They're not
That's-
allowed to, if they're caught doing that, then they get sentenced.
All right, thank you.
I forgot to ask a question, though.
Yes, sir.
I guess I don't have to ask
Your
permission,
time.
I'm the chair. They're not going on any ships over there in Italy, are they?
No. No, we're not, actually, I don't even think we're going on a gondola ride, and I'm
No,
kind
you
of
caught on.
upset about that.
No, we
Right?
don't want, we
We're
don't
gonna
want any
have to look
cruise-
at that.
We don't want any cruising in Italy.
No, we're not cruising, I know, we're
That
not
was just a
cruising in
joke.
Italy, no.
All right.
No cruising.
Do we need a vote to approve this?
Yes.
All right, I'll entertain a motion to approve this field trip to Italy.
So moved.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? 400. Thank you, ladies.
Thank you very much.
Next on the agenda is a request for pilot extracurricular clubs. Is there any reason why we can't take these together?
I would ask Mr. Palladino to come and speak about the high school club. What I would tell you is the Deacon's Club would be a volunteer club. There's no money
Okay,
involved.
all right.
I believe you have a copy of Mr. Rumble's proposal. We have a large following of students that are very involved in badminton, and Mr. Rumble realized that this was something we probably need to expand upon, and he's he's proposing to have a badminton club at the high school. He has, I believe it's more than 25 students that are interested. They've already done some intramural type programs in between the fall and the winter season, and I believe they're looking to expand on that after the winter season as well. So I believe you have the proposal in front of you. There's, for 25 kids for a club, that's a large club at the high school. Usually we're...
If I can interject,
Sure.
we've had up to 40 at the meetings that we had. We met in November on Tuesdays and Thursdays, and actually had 10 courts with 4 players on each court playing at one time. We have over 55 students that have participated in the 7 meetings that we've had.
So it's obviously a great sport as well. We've got quite a few clubs that there just wasn't interest either on the student side or the staff side that we'd like this to take the place of, and we're hoping that you'll support this here tonight.
Any discussion? Jeff?
I'm concerned that we're going to make this blood sport because I know the rabidness of the competition that already exists within badminton, not only the students but the staff. And now we're going to make it an official blood sport at Wareham High School?
So I figured the tennis coach would appreciate the similarities between badminton and tennis, but there's, I'm not sure about blood sport, but I'll let Mr. Rumbold answer that.
We have groups that, and we do this in physical education classes too, where we'll separate students if they would like it to be less competitive, so that there's students that are playing just for the fun of the sport, so to speak, and there's students that play competitively that may have played in badminton tournaments that we've had in the past. I don't think we've had one the last couple of years.
Correct.
And that, I think, is what you're referring to as the blood sport. This is not to do
Quite
that.
a few staff, I think, are involved in that as well.
Yeah, and we've had some staff at the meetings that we've already had.
Can you articulate the injuries that have occurred?
0. 0.
No one confessed to any injuries.
Confession doesn't have anything to do with it. There have been no injuries. It's a very fast sport. We don't use the same type of shuttles that they use at an Olympic level that travel at 150 miles an hour. You know, we're using plastic ones, and the ones that they use at a competitive level are real bird feathers. So they're a lot heavier and they travel a lot faster. So no, we haven't had any injuries, although one of the strategies that I have taught them, which I'm sure you've done the same as a tennis coach, is one of the best shots that you can make is to drive the birdie into the opponent's body.
I see.
Very difficult to return.
There comes the blood.
That is not what we teach at the in the high school PE classes, but we are adding more advanced strategies in this club, in addition to the history of the sport.
There can be injuries to egos, too, you know.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Ms. Pont will verify. Her son is probably, if not the best, one of the best players, and has been playing in our tournaments since he was in middle school, maybe even elementary school.
I'm all set, Mr. Chair.
So, I digress, but it's the great transition for it is we have many of the students have meetings for, say, drama that don't start until 3 o'clock, or even other sports where their practices don't start till 3, and there's a bridge there. If they're not, oh, by the way, academics was stressed. They have to follow the same rules as we do for other sports as far as grades go.
As all clubs do.
As all clubs do. And, but some of these students that are waiting for drama club to start, waiting for their football practice to start, they would come, play, leave when they had to. I give out a ton of late bus slips for the kids that need to take the late bus home. And it's, you know, as a physical education teacher, one of our goals is to have our students find a lifelong sport that they can play. And you can't play football your whole life. You can't play a lot of sports your whole life, but badminton and tennis, court sports, net sports, those you can. And it's really taken off. It's not just in Wareham. I talked to other teachers from other schools, and it's just a very popular activity.
Any other questions from the committee or comments? Mr. Flaherty?
where this is a pilot club, what is the difference between it and a formal interscholastic team? Like, how does that work?
We're not competing with other schools.
You're just competing with yourselves, you just get together and play
Right.
badminton?
The students have talked about, and it is something that I'll look into, a friendly competition, maybe with somebody like OR or Rochester or Bourne or something like that. But that's a very long-term goal.
Yeah.
The goal right now is to get the club started and provide a venue for students to continue healthy habits and learn more intricate strategies and skills in the sport itself.
Okay. And I noticed you're willing to donate your stipend to acquire the
Absolutely,
equipment?
yeah. This is a love of mine too, seeing these students out there. I mean, I love the sport, but getting the students to participate for an extra hour a couple times a week in athletics, any kind of physical activity is great, and we need to do that. I think that's an important part of this proposal. I mean, if I had it my way, I'd have you take the stipend amount and put it into an account for the badminton club so there's no taxes taken out of it. And I know that might not be possible. But either way, it's not a very expensive sport. Rackets, you can buy a decent racket for about $15. Birdies are like $3 a can for 6 of them. So you can really, with what if the stipend according to the contract is $700 and I get $500 out of that, we can really, provide some good equipment for the kids.
No, I bring it up because, I mean, it's very commendable. It's just another example of what I call that going above and beyond ethic that I see at the high school that I'd really like to see transcend to the other schools.
Well, I don't want the students to have to pay for anything, and you can't run a club like this without equipment. And
You're truly volunteering. Yeah.
Before I became a high school coach 20 years ago, I did nothing but volunteer for 20 years before that. So it's, it's something, it's volunteering, but it's not like I'm not getting anything out of it.
Sure. Okay.
What's that?
Yes.
Anyone else have anything to say, comments? Mr. Fonts?
I can't open the document, so when will this take
I
place?
got a hard copy, you want it?
Yeah.
This will take place, we started it in September just as a meeting type of thing, talk, discussion, that type of thing. In the month of November, we met on Tuesdays and Thursdays in the gymnasium because volleyball was over, there was no issues. I have planned 2 more meetings, one in December, one in January when the courts are available, because we have 5 basketball teams. And then between seasons, and if we don't have boys volleyball, then we'll run it from mid-February probably through the end of the year.
So basketball it wouldn't be over. They'll be
Yeah,
they'll be in the
you look
tournament.
at the last item on the proposal, it says we'll meet between athletic seasons, and on the days the gym is not in use, we will apply for building use as required and understand any need for court use by interscholastic teams will require forfeiture of use of the gymnasium.
So it's nothing to do with MIAA, all of that.
No.
So, but did you seek the opinion of the athletic director? It doesn't sound like you need it, but.
We've discussed it.
And he supports this.
As long as it doesn't get in the way of sports, yeah.
And that's my concern, is how would other coaches feel, maybe like Coach Bajoli, or if you're doing girls, boys, I don't know, but
We have
you
a
could
mixture,
twist
we have
an
a very
ankle.
diverse mixture of boys, girls, and grades.
I think the
grade
key
levels.
is, in regards to Coach Bajoli in basketball, this is going to transpire after the season, just because, as you know, the gym usage during the season is just so intense, you really can't get in there. So this is something that Mr. Rumbold will be doing after the basketball season, after they're hopefully done at the Garden and heading to Worcester at that point in time.
Spring sports are usually outside.
Correct.
Unless it rains.
Yeah.
Thank
All
you.
set, Mr. Fonts? I just have one question in terms of the equipment. The kids will wear eye protection?
No.
They're not going to wear eye protection?
No,
Don't
they
you think
don't,
that that's
and-
dangerous?
No.
You don't? Would that,
They don't wear it at a professional level. They
No, well,
don't-
these aren't
they don't-
professionals. This is a
They
club-
don't wear it
this is
at
a club
at an
sport.
amateur level.
Yeah, you can buy safety goggles for for 59 cents. I would suggest that maybe you rethink that.
Oh, I thought they were gonna wear helmets, no?
No.
I'm kidding.
I don't.
I don't care
have a
about
problem with
the head, but I think you need eye gear.
I think with the, and maybe there's some confusion because they're actually using, I don't want to call them Nerf, but they're not the shuttles that maybe you would think could cause the damage maybe that Mr. Sweat was talking about.
Okay.
These are phys ed shuttles that are very soft in nature. We use them during phys ed. We've never had an injury from the shuttle itself.
Okay.
So I would support not having to wear safety goggles.
I can certainly make it a suggestion.
Okay. Any other discussion? All right, I'll entertain a motion.
So moved.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Tell me
And-
moved.
Move to accept
That we
volleyball.
establish a badminton.
A badminton.
Just the badminton, not the
N- No,
Correct.
just a badminton. So the motion is to accept badminton and on a pilot basis at the high school as an extracurricular activity. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? 400.
Thank you.
Thanks, Steve. Now we've got a club proposal at Deacon School.
Yes, Deacon's would like to start a global club. It would be on a volunteer basis. The staff person has offered her services to start the program. So we would ask the committee to allow a pilot program at Deacon's.
Any discussion or questions for the superintendent? Mr. Sweat?
I assume this has your support.
I think that the global, there certainly is interest, yes.
I know the high school global education team is a great thing. My concern is, as we all know, Deacon's is now a level 3 school, and I wouldn't want anything to distract from the focus on the rigor of the academics. And as we heard from some parents, you know, that's an issue for them as well. So, provided that you're 100% convinced that it would not be in any way, shape, or form a distraction from that effort, I could support it, but otherwise I could not.
This would be after school. This would not have anything during the school day, and I would not believe that it would interfere with academics.
Anyone else? Mr. Flaherty?
Can you describe it a little bit more? I didn't get much out of the email that was going back and forth about it.
Really, what I think, the person that would like to sponsor the club has had involvement with the Global Education Club at large. They would be a function at DCUS more to support, to interact more with the high school club and to offset some of the activities and kind of mirror some of the things that they do.
Okay. And you said that the person running it would be volunteering their services. Are they going to forego their stipend as well?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Any other discussion, questions? Mr. Sweat?
Just a quick question. We're used to having people come before us to present it. Neither Principal Panarisi or this other individual is here tonight. Should we draw any conclusion from that?
No, I wouldn't draw any conclusion from that. But what we would like to do is, if you would like, we would be more than happy to invite both of them to come for the next meeting. So if you would have questions, you could ask directly.
I think it's worth tabling until they do come.
Okay.
Well, I don't. I mean, you know, we make them come here for all kinds of different stuff. I think it's pretty straightforward. I think we know what it is. You know, after this thing, it's a pilot program, and after it gets going, if we have any questions, certainly we can invite them, but, you know, to keep asking people to come before us and stay until 8:30 for something that's very, very clear, to me, is counterproductive. So I'm going to entertain a motion. If I get one, fine. If not, that's fine. I'll entertain a motion to approve this global club at Deacon's on a pilot basis.
Based on the comments by Superintendent, I'm comfortable. I'd make a motion to approve the pilot program as presented.
I have a motion. Do I hear a second? Having no second, it's lost, so I guess we'll have to bring it back. Next order of business. Dual enrollment program, Wareham Middle, Wareham High School.
Well, thanks for having us up here again. And we're here today to talk about a dual enrollment program for the 8th graders. Currently, we have a dual enrollment program at the high school for our 11th and 12th graders to take college courses. And we thought this would be a great way to transition freshmen into the high school as 8th graders with an opportunity to take some freshman courses. I know you have a proposal in front of you. We also have a PowerPoint. I'd be glad to go through it if you would like. But basically, we have seen a tremendous amount of advantages for our students to get a leg up at the high school level while taking college courses. We had some students last year that basically started school this year, which should have been their freshman year in college, as sophomores. So we're here to talk about an accelerated academic academy. It's a dual enrollment program, so the students would be based in the middle school. They're, as far as the SIMS data, they'd be located at the high school, at the middle school. MCAS would be at the middle school. They would come to us in the morning for 2 classes every day, and then they would transition back to the middle school for some of their courses. So they earn the high school credits as 8th graders while fulfilling the middle school graduation requirements, but also attaining high school credits. They're exposed to more challenging, rigorous coursework, and the early exposure to high school coursework experiences and responsibilities gives these students a head start in transitioning to the high school. Our goal ultimately is that more Wareham Middle School students will choose the Wareham High School and will buy our brand, if you will. Some anticipated advantages and outcomes: we're going to see elevated MCAS scores in ELA, math, science at both the 8th grade level and as a future byproduct in the 9th and 10th grade levels. More students can take higher level math courses and science courses because they're starting those as 8th graders. So imagine what they can be doing. You look at AP starting sophomore year now. You're looking at college courses possibly starting sophomore, if not sophomore, junior year. Increased enrollment in our AP courses. Potential early graduation and a head start to college, as I mentioned. Increased college and high school dual enrollment, and ultimately our students will be getting into more competitive colleges. A stimulus is moving WHS forward with a senior year capstone internship project. I know we've talked about that. It's definitely on our long-term plan, is to have some type of a capstone project. We're looking to start off with up to 35, no more than 35, but it will be based on an application process we'll talk about, and these are grade 8 students. We're working with the middle school principal to take a look from a curriculum standpoint to make sure we don't harm these students when they are taking the MCAS, to make sure curriculums are aligned with the MCAS test that they're going to be taking. But we're looking at 4 high school courses. Those courses can include any of these following: English 9 honors, Intro to Physical World, Algebra 1 honors, World History, and then we have the potential for a foreign language as well. They're AM classes, so basically we'd be looking for 2 classes, as we mentioned, each day, 7:40 to 9:03 and 9:06 to 10:29. We have a bus that comes in just around that time for our students that are going on to the School to Career program. We would have these students get on that bus, be dropped off to the middle school at or around 10:32, depending on how our schedule aligns with the middle school schedule. There's also the potential, if there is a lapse where potentially the class doesn't start till 10:45 at the middle school, we would then get those students involved in our advisory period, which it starts at 10:32. So there is some flexibility there on our behalf if the schedules don't align perfectly. We're going to create a rubric. We didn't want to get too far ahead of ourselves until we had approval at the school committee level, but we're looking for criteria: current grades, attendance, discipline, letters of application, and then there'd be interviews that would take place, and we'd have a rubric to assess these. Our timeline: we're here today, December 4th, and we're looking to do a presentation after New Year's to the 7th graders, and then to do a presentation the following week on the 13th to their parents. Applications will be available after those two seminars, and the deadline would be February 14th. We would conduct these student interviews in early March, and students would be notified of their acceptance in early April. And then once we have a list of students that are accepted and have signed up for this and are willing to come in as 8th graders, we're going to have student orientation for May 20th at the high school for the students. And I'm not sure if we missed anything, Ms. Freitas. Ms. Freitas has, as you can assume, has been instrumental in getting this program off the ground as well. And if I missed anything, please let me know.
I think you did a very good job,
All right,
Mr.
thank you.
Palladino. I will say, though, that this idea was not either mine or Scott's alone. Our department chairs were also very instrumental in brainstorming and planning this out as well. And we're hoping that you see it as a viable and productive means of moving our students forward, both at the middle school level and the high school level.
Okay, I think I'll let everyone speak to this one. We'll start over here with Mr. Flaherty.
Thank you, Dr. Sylvia. Got to tell you, I was really excited when I saw this in my school committee packet. When I decided to run for school committee, I did so saying that I wanted to help make this place the sort of place you want to send your kids to school, where I want to send my kid to school. And this is exactly what I had in mind. I'm very, very supportive of this. This is exactly what it's all about. I guess my question is, how long has this been in the works?
It's actually been a few years in the works, to be quite frank, and we've been fine-tuning it behind the scenes. You know, I'm not going to say we worked on it every month, but we constantly came back to this. This would really help out the district. This would really help out two schools, and it's been a while.
What's been the holdup? I mean, I just think we should have been doing this yesterday.
I just think it's philosophical, some differences, but I think we're on board now, and we've really been wanting to make sure we could step forward with our best foot here and make sure that we had our ducks in a row. And we, quite frankly, haven't had, on our end, we haven't had the ducks in a row until this year.
No, I applaud it. I'm very much looking forward to it.
Thank you.
I would like to say that I think Mr. Palladino and I were very much influenced to really push this forward this year because of our own experience with our advisory students from last year, the last couple of years. 2 of our advisory students out of 8 were involved in a dual enrollment program with area colleges. And maybe they were influenced a little bit by their advisors, but they did take on the challenge themselves. And the growth that I saw in those 2 students, both maturity-wise, academically, and again, as Mr. Palladino said, they eliminated the cost of an entire year of college. And they were ready to go, as sophomore students in college in more ways than one, not only academically, but they were ready for that transition because they had been part of it all along while still being in high school and while still having that experience as high school students. And we're hoping with to replicate that type of it is a little bit of an experiment. It will be, certainly. That these 8th grade students will be 8th grade students and having that full middle school experience, but yet, with some safety nets in place, having that high school experience and then fully being able to transition into very competitive and high-level courses as they move forward through the high school.
8th grade students taking honors classes in the high school. That's remarkable.
And attaining credits as well.
Yeah, I mean, and that's what we mean when we say we need to increase the rigor. I mean, doesn't get much more rigorous than that. All set, yeah.
Mr. Fonz?
I can't add anything more than what Mr. Flaherty said. I agree 110%. This is long overdue. It's great. I just want to know how much dialogue has the middle school been involved. I know we have Dr. Marks now, but Ms. Pont and Minko, were they part of this process?
So we've been in touch with Dr. Marks primarily. Again, we didn't want to get too far ahead of ourselves. You know, I think we want to work smart and make sure that we have your blessing before we move forward. I would anticipate if this is seen as something positive that the school committee would like us to move forward with, there'll be a lot more collaboration. But we didn't want to get too far ahead of ourselves.
Thank you.
Madam Superintendent? Nothing? All set? Mr. Sweat? Well, we'd like to, I'm going to ask the question anyways, if you support this proposal. Thank you. Mr. Sweat?
First thing I'd like to do is ask our student representative if she was about to enter the 8th grade, would she have taken advantage of this program?
I definitely would have, for two very big reasons, because if these students are anything like me, when they get to high school, there's going to be too many classes to take and not enough time to take them. And I know that there are definitely classes I'm not going to be able to take because I wasn't at this, I didn't have this leg up that they will. So, especially like AP courses, math and sciences, as they said, this will definitely give them an advantage in that aspect. But also, I think I mentioned this to Mr. Palladino before, that the jump to middle school, from middle school to high school for me, and I know for many other people, was very overwhelming as far as the rigor and the course load. Like, it was probably it was very hard. So I know that if I had the chance to experience high school work before I even got to high school, the transition would have been much smoother and I would have had a much easier time.
Thank you.
Although her grades freshman year didn't indicate she had a tough time with the transition, I can assure you.
Mr. Sweat, you done? Oh,
No, not done. I think I probably share my fellow school committee members' feelings when I say, when I read this, I thought, okay, this is too good to be true. And I put on my skeptical hat to see if I could figure out any downside to this. And I really couldn't figure out any downside. So I love the initiative. I love the fact that you've involved your department heads in this initial embryonic process. I know you didn't want to get too far ahead, but that's also great in terms of a planning and a leadership approach. Would these students be technically still students of the middle school?
Yes. Correct.
That's
Correct.
too bad, for reasons that are unimportant unless you're a tennis coach.
There's an 8th grade waiver, right?
No.
Yes.
I don't think that exists anymore, but
Oh, okay.
I could be wrong. The athletic director is
He's coming
telling me
up
I'm
next.
wrong. But in any event, that's irrelevant. I was being somewhat facetious.
They give waivers for everything. They even give 5-year students waivers.
Back to the subject, which is, it's an outstanding initiative, and I guess the biggest reason I love it is I think the perception in the community, even though they don't ever begrudge it, is that we're really focused on the kids that are struggling. And this is exactly the opposite. This is enriching the experience of those students that are outstanding achievers and want to achieve even more. So I applaud it, I commend it, and I wish you great success.
Thank you.
I would like to add that I know there's some concern that, we might be taking that, those top 35 kids from the middle school. And, part of the application process is that's going to be big too. And the motivation of the student, I think, is going to play a much more, a larger role than necessarily, the actual grades. I mean, certainly that's going to be taken into consideration. And I think that Nicole made a very good point in the idea of transition. That's really a big piece here. And I'm hoping, we're all hoping, that those students that take on this challenge and do participate in this program will be fantastic ambassadors with their middle school peers to convince them that Wareham High School is the place to be.
I've got a couple of questions and a couple of comments. Well, you know how I feel. I think this is just a small step of getting the whole 8th grade over there, so, because that's where I'd like to see. But anyways, that's my own bias. So I'm really excited about this. The only thing I don't quite understand, if you could explain it to me, is there going to be a particular course load that they're going to be exposed to? Is it like going to be the core courses, or like is it going to be math or English or science or whatever? Is it going to be, so they're not going to be just taking electives, they're going to be taking core courses?
Correct, core courses.
Have you decided on a particular set of core courses?
We're still working on the logistics. Right, world history definitely. English 9 honors definitely. We're still working on the math and the science. It'll be at least one of those, if not both. And then we have kind of the wild card as the foreign language. So we know about half of what they're going to take. We really, if it's approved tonight, probably one of the first calls we'll be making is to Dr. Marks to set up time to work with her ILT folks and herself and possibly
And there will
the
be
APs.
some scheduling situations you're going to have to work out too.
Absolutely.
Logistically correct. There's a lot to be worked out, but again, we didn't want to get too far ahead of
Oh, I don't
ourselves.
blame you. Okay. So there's going to be core courses. Now, the other comment that I have is, I know getting the whole 8th grade over there is something that I'm going to continue to look at and advocate for. But on your number of 35, I'd really be much happier if you rounded it up to 40.
I think it's 35 is a starting point.
Well, I'd be much happier if you had a starting point of 40.
Okay.
Just put that little bug in your ear.
Okay, got it.
What I like about it is it's given our students an opportunity to experience higher level academics, which I think is very, very important. And secondly, I think it will give, if this happens to be successful, then it's going to give an opportunity, once those kids get to the high school, they've already got 2 classes behind them, and it's going to give 4 classes behind them, the administration a chance to expand their experiential education, expand their electives, which, you know, which I support 300%. So I think that that's going to be an opportunity down the road to expand your elective process. So, you know, the only thing I say is that, you know, I just hope you can work this out in a way that works for everybody. I thank you, Dr. Marks, for considering this, because, you know, I know that there's probably a little bit of apprehension at your building. So, you know, I appreciate being receptive to this idea, and put the pedal to the metal, man. Put the jets on, and let's get it done. Absolutely.
Thank you.
Yes, Nicole?
I just had a question. Would the 8th graders be in classes with 9th graders?
Correct.
Okay, so it wouldn't just be 8th graders in their own classes?
No, that would defeat part of the purpose, transitioning into high
Right.
school. But good question, it's been brought up a few times by a few of the adult staff members, but we felt like that immersion into the high school setting would allow for that transition to happen a lot easier.
Yeah, we really wanted to replicate the dual enrollment experience that our college, high school students have had. And all of the research really supports that immersion into the classroom. If you are a dual enrollment student at the college level, the professors don't even know that you're a high school student in most cases. They live by all of the same rules and the same deadlines. There are no exceptions made for those students. And I think for the 8th graders to really feel that they are truly getting that high school experience, they're being taught right alongside ninth grade students. They're not treated necessarily any differently, and they have that 9th grade teacher from the high school versus, you know, so they'll have that experience. They'll still have that middle school experience too, which I think is important, Dr. Sylvia, in terms of bringing all of them over right now. We have to get this down first. Let's get, you know, let us get rolling with the 35, so to say, and
40.
Or 40, and you know, let us get this going so it works well for both the high school and the middle school One of the things we don't want to do is, we've got something really good going on in a lot of our classes for 9th and 10th grade, and you know our MCAS results. We don't want to jeopardize that and overload, our 9th grade classes where, we really set the bedrock down
No, I
for,
understand.
all of that academic learning and experiences and content that they really need
But
to
if you
get.
had all of the 8th grade over there, you wouldn't have to do that. It'd be no burden on the 9th grade classes at all.
Sure. Okay.
All right. Any other discussion? Let's have a motion.
I'll move approval of the Wareham Middle, Wareham High School dual enrollment program.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? 400.
Thank you.
Good job. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Fall athletic report.
Mr. Flaherty, is that J-Lo in the back over there?
J-Lo Benefit?
She is. J-Lo Bennifer is in the house, ladies and gentlemen.
Without our blonde tresses.
I know you have all the numbers, the sheets have been passed out to you. I'd like to refer to start the meeting, to start the talk of the athletic report is the community service and the fundraising and some of the awards and some of the highlights of the season. All our teams do an excellent job with community service and fundraising, as you can see by looking at the sheet that I passed you. From the cheerleaders to the golf team, every one of them, boys, girls soccer, football, field hockey, volleyball, they all do that. And I'm really pleased with that. I've never seen that before from situations I've been in. And I think that's, the coaches do a good job with that, and the kids do a great job. Some significant awards that we received this fall were, three of our teams received the Sportsmanship Award for the league, which is impressive because there's 9 teams. And I felt it was very impressive because we struggled, obviously, if you see our records. And, that happens a lot of times. Teams are frustrated and things happen, but it really didn't. Our boys and girls soccer team were very impressive because there's a thing called yellow cards if you have any issues. And I think our girls team received 0 and our boys team received 1. And in boys, that's outrageous. Most teams have at least 6, 7 or more. So considering a lot of times the scores were lopsided, they kept their cool, they handled themselves appropriately, and they represented Wareham in a positive manner. Many of our athletes received other awards throughout the league. And we're hoping that in the future that we build up programs that we will be more successful with winning. But other than that, right now, everything else was really smooth as far as the coaches, the players, the attitudes, everything went well. We had a lot of participants. The average team GPA was 82.57, which was pretty amazing to me. We had 25 8th graders, and we're expecting more than 25 8th graders for the winters. I mean, the final numbers aren't in, that's still going on, but we will have at least that, probably more. The goal is to get more of our 8th graders involved. I know we talked about tennis. That is a possibility of having 8th graders with tennis. It's all predicated on numbers. And in the fall, our golf team didn't have it because there wasn't really a need. Even though they don't have big numbers, there wasn't that much of a need for it. All the other ones had 8th graders if they wanted it. And most of the kids took advantage of it. The 8th grade principals and people I've dealt with over there have been excellent to deal with, very accommodating. Teams have gone over there, coaches have gone over there, and it's been a great thing. Our goal is to get as many of those 8th graders accustomed to Wareham High School, and hopefully they're all going to go to Wareham High School. That's about what I have to say for the awards. You can read all the awards. I'm not going to go through all the honorable mentions, all the things of that nature. But if there's questions about the budget, I would, gladly like to answer anything that you have.
Any questions? Mr. Fonz?
Does it have to pertain to the fall sports, or is it anything in general?
Well, go ahead, I mean, you know.
Shoot the works.
Yeah, good. 5 teams in basketball. My concern is, I understand the girls' situation. There are some waivers, but some of these 8th grade girls are trying out to make junior varsity. So they're going to the 8th grade to potentially playing with the 9th and 10th graders, I would assume. And to my understanding, some of them are going to get cut. The junior basketball program has already picked their teams, and are these girls going to be left out?
No.
I'm just wondering,
No.
what was the effort
No.
that we couldn't field a freshman team?
No one will be cut. No girl will be cut from the 8th grade. As far as I know, I mean, I'm looking at the numbers. We're going to have approximately, I mean, I have it in front of me, I could have brought that with me if you wanted. We should have about 28 to 30 girls, and that's enough for a JV and a varsity team. We probably, our goal is hopefully in the future next year to have a freshman team. And we wanted, last year, this is an example, we talked about waivers. Girls basketball last year had 17 girls. When they showed me the list, I thought this was a varsity list. This was the JV and varsity combined. So the JVs last year ended up with 6 girls some games. So our goal, what happens is you go to the MIA and you request waivers. So I said, we need waivers for certain sports, and we got to show the numbers. And so we showed the numbers. And now the numbers are up. I would say it's about between, again, we're still in the early stages of the winter season. It's probably between 28 to 30 girls. To my knowledge, I don't believe any 8th grade girl will be cut. I would say, off the top of my head, you know, it's probably half a dozen, maybe 7 or 8 girls, 7 or 8 8th grade girls playing, somewhere in that vicinity.
So to field a freshman team, you probably would have needed 35 to 40 girls?
Yeah.
To field a freshman
Yeah.
team, we would have had to budget for a freshman team.
Yeah, and I didn't think it was necessary yet. Let's take one step at a time. And then this was the big step. And it's been, the coaches are very pleased with what's happened. And we're hopeful that this catches on, and next year we do have a freshman team. And then we can go from there. That would be great. You know, we want to build up the program. We want to get the numbers up. There are things I met with the superintendent a few weeks ago. I have some ideas about some things in the fall or whatever. I want to get participation up, enthusiasm within the school system, become a Wareham Viking. That's my goal. And we don't, you know, I don't want to go with the middle school sports anymore. I want to just have 8th graders be able to come to the high school so we don't lose those kids to other schools. And try some intramural programs and have our varsity coaches participate in those, and clinics and camps and things of that nature.
One of the things that you said was you want to put the right coaches in the right situations. So how much of that goes into, in Wareham, it's, believe me, it's just like New Bedford. It's about wins and losses.
Yeah.
And when I look at all of these fall sports, I know there was an article in the Standard Times, I believe, about
Yes, and I'm glad it was in there.
how bad the Wareham fall sports was. So what does that do for the morale of the kids, and how do you address that? Are you looking at each coach each season, or some people in town have the mindset that if you're a teacher in the school system and a coach, you'll be that coach forever, which I disagree with, and I want to hear your thoughts on that.
No, I disagree with that, too. I mean, they will be evaluated. You know, you have to understand, this is, I've been on this job a few months. I'm really trying to acclimate myself to this whole situation. I came from, they lost more games in this fall than I lost in probably 20 years of coaching, 25 years of coaching. This is new for me. So I'm trying to evaluate the whole situation and what can be done to make it better. I do feel that by watching the coaches that they're trying real hard, I think it's a matter of a lot of the kids, once things become losing, who wants to be associated with that? You know, it takes a kid that really loves that sport. My goal is to break that habit, and how do we do that? Some things I did from where I came from New Bedford, is I try to get the elementary schools involved and the middle schools involved, and that's my goal. My goal is to go down to them, and my goal, for example, during the basketball season, I want to have a Deacon School night where the Deacon School kids can come to a basketball game, wear their Deacon School colors, get in for free, introduce them at halftime, and things of that nature. We talked about the Youth Basketball League in Wareham coming. I'm all for that. I did that constantly in New Bedford. And it brings things together, it brings people together. They want to become a Viking, and that's my whole goal. And I want to get the varsity coaches involved with the middle schools and the elementary schools so they know, they recognize these coaches. They recognize them as something that, yeah, this is what I want to do. I want to play for this coach. I want coaches that are dedicated to their sport. I want coaches that are as dedicated to their sport as they are to teaching. And I want it to be literally a full-year commitment. I mean, that's what I was as a coach, and I expect my coaches to be that way, and that's the kind of coaches I'm trying to find.
And in the good point, Mr. Rodricks and I have had conversations about youth basketball and things of that nature, which I commend him on that, reaching out and trying to get the kids involved, because there's been a lot of talk about doing that, but
I will do it.
It hasn't happened. And my other concern is, I see the community involvement. That's great. And around town, a lot of people are talking about you in a good way. That I know it's a part-time position, but you've got a lot of ideas, and they're excited because you come from a very successful program. So, you know, I'm just happy to hear that we're going to try to work things out. I do hope that we do see people, kids from the basketball program, which, as I've said over and over, it just hasn't happened, that for them to come down, and you and I talked about a clinic and things of that, so I hope we can look at that.
Well, one of my goals is, and if Mr. Palladino lets me do this, is I would like to take, for an example, 4 or 5 basketball players, have them put their jerseys on, call the Deacon's school principal and say, I'd like to bring 5 players from Wareham High School down. We'll have a little game against your guys. Obviously, the high school players are going to win. Maybe we'll get a dunk here and there, have some fun with them.
Not if I ref.
Have some fun with them. And then what I would do, I have them go to the classroom, read a story with them, eat lunch with them. If we have something that we can give them, a poster or something, have them invite them all to a Wareham High School game. That's my goal. So there's a connection between all the way through the elementary schools to the middle schools to the high school. That is my goal. There has to be that way. And in New Bedford, we had 20 elementary schools, and I probably went to 10 of them doing that. And I love doing it, and the kids love doing it, and the principals at the elementary schools do too. This is something my goal is. There's no quick fix to this. There's no easy answer. And I'm not saying that this is going to turn things around. My goal is to try to do that. The winter sports look a little bit brighter, obviously, and hopefully we can do something to make it more successful as far as wins and losses. And again, I'm trying to get coaches that I feel like that feel like I do, that they love their sport, they're passionate about winning, and passionate about trying to make their sport successful.
Final question is, I know this is fall sports. Maybe you have the answer, Mr. Palladino. Police details, they've done a great job in cutting back on that. I know at football games at one time there probably were 3 officers, so hopefully I don't get stopped on the ride home for saying you did a good job of cutting back. But are they, is the main focus on police details just football and basketball?
Yeah,
say
that's it. The money, the sports where we charge to get in, we try to do that with. And a lot of the police details, depending on their rank, if we could just use our resource officer, that would be a blessing. But all of a sudden, they'll throw a sergeant or something down, and all of a sudden it's ridiculous. So you're talking a difference of $70, $80 for doing the exact same thing. But that's the union rules for the police, and that's how that works. So, we're trying to, boys basketball will have one at the game. Girls basketball will be as needed. As of right now, we won't. And if the crowd becomes really big, then we will do that. I plan on at the boys' games also, I want to have a band at the game. That's one of my goals. I talked to the band. Heather Ware from the band, and we're trying to put something together so we can have that, bring some enthusiasm. And the girls' games, we're trying to support that as much too. And it's all predicated on the crowds and how many people and the money and all that stuff as far as how many cops we hire.
And the frustrating thing, if I can, when I started, didn't matter who was there, it was $25 an hour, so we had some cost certainty. As Ed alluded to, there were some people making almost $80 an hour, and we have no control over who goes there. Back 6, 7 years ago, there was a rate for the town, and it was $25 an hour, no matter what your rank was, your degrees, et cetera. Now, when that changed, there's no cost certainty. We never know that, although we tried to be as economical as possible with the amount of staffing we had from the police side. It's frustrating because that number could double next year with the same number of games and the same number of police officers.
I said I was done, but I just thought of one thing. May I? Thank you.
One more.
Eddie, have you given thought to basketball, girls, boys? You know, some of the schools do that to help build up the girls' program. Is that ever? I know like the varsity girls play first, followed by the varsity boys.
Well, I tell you, yeah, you know, I would. You know, it would be nice if we did something like that with a rival. But honestly, I would want to talk to the boys' coach and the girls' coach, that they both would like to do it.
They always see eye to eye.
But this is what normally would happen. See, the girls normally would play first, and the boys would play second. That could become an issue sometimes too, because you know there's like a JV varsity game, so to speak, and it's not a JV varsity game, but that's usually how it goes. We didn't do it where I came from, New Bedford, but they did do it at Bishop Stang, and we played Dartmouth. Right, it was fantastic. I mean,
I know they did it at Old Rochester. The varsity girls played first, followed by the varsity boys.
Yeah,
and they wanted to do more of it because the gym was sold out.
Yeah, I mean, that's something to look into. Absolutely. I'm against. See, I love crowds. I love things of that nature. I like to promote things. That would be something I would love to do. Again, we have to find a school that would want to do it with us also. You know, I like to also bring in for our boys' team some really big-time teams. I really would love to do that when they have a strong team. I enjoy doing that in New Bedford. I just think it just brings so much to the town, and I'd love to start. And I'd like to see our teams travel. I travel quite a bit at New Bedford, and we just talked about the trips that these people went on. I went on 10 to 12 different trips with my teams, and it's a phenomenal experience. And if we could do that at New Bedford, we certainly can do that out of Wareham. And I'd love to see our teams travel.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Fonz. Mr. Sweat?
Evening, Ed.
Yes.
I completely agree that winning is more fun than losing. On the other hand, participation at this level is even more important to me. I applaud the fact that about 30% of the student body participated in varsity or JV or freshman sports. I think that's a great number. I'd love it to be higher, but it's, you know, I'm sure many schools would be happy with 30% of their student body. In looking at the numbers, strangely enough I did, do you ever worry about equity with respect to the resources on a sport-by-sport basis? And the reason I ask
Title IX?
The reason I ask that is football represents about a third of the deficit. The lowest GPA, thank you girls soccer and girls volleyball, since they had 87.
Golf actually has the lowest GPA.
Excuse me?
Golf has the lowest GPA.
And
Okay.
in fairness to football, if you took the freshmen away, their GPA would have been like 83 point something, where you throw the freshmen in and it goes down.
I still applaud the girls volleyball and
Oh,
girls
no,
soccer
I'm not.
at 87 plus.
Yes, I'm not. But see,
But, and then when I compound it with the fact that I'm constantly hit over the head as I'm almost feeling guilty watching the NFL, that we're exposing kids to concussion. It's a dangerous sport, and we're subsidizing it to a much greater extent than any other sport. So the combination of the two just frankly makes me pause. Does it make you pause?
well, the expenses, a lot of it, if you look at the expenses, those are safety issues. For an example, the helmets have to be refurbished every single season. shoulder pads, things of that nature. That's a built-in cost for safety reasons for the players. It's something that's been part of our culture for a long time. I don't believe that's going to change. I mean, well, although the numbers are down across the country, from what I understand, for Pop Warner, maybe one day that will totally change. As far as equity, the numbers, actually, we had more girls play sports this fall than boys. Number of teams were equal, and that's amazing because football has big numbers. But overall, there were more, actually, I think we ended up with 4 or 5 more girls than boys in the sports. As far as money-wise, I think as far as Title IX goes, Title IX is more about participation. In other words, when I was coaching at UMass Dartmouth last year, we could only take 14 players because one more player would have put us on an unequal basis with the girls, and we could only take 14. So I think they're looking at more of numbers. As far as money putting into it, I mean, football is just built-in costs that you can't avoid, and a lot of it is safety. If we had girls lacrosse, maybe, and as a sport, that costs a lot of money to start with. That might build up the cost as far as equal with football, but there's no other sport for girls right now that's going to come close with football.
Thank you.
Nicole, any questions for the athletic director?
I don't have any questions, but I really want to compliment you on your ideas for increasing involvement in other schools, because I don't think our record speaks for how hard we work.
No.
I think it's more the participation level. Yes, 30% is a good number, but I don't think, in my opinion, it's good enough to do well. So I commend you in your efforts to increase those numbers.
Yeah, that's the whole idea. Hopefully we will get more participation. For an example, there's no magic formula. Look at boys basketball. They always have a ton of kids go out. Why? Boys basketball constantly wins. So everybody wants to be with a winning situation. So our goal is to get some of our other teams to that level. And again, there's no magic wand. I'm hoping that I get some ideas, and we're hoping that it will come to pass. But a lot has to do with coaching and their enthusiasm and all the way down. And I do have great support from the schools that I've been to, and hopefully together we can build a strong athletic program in all our sports.
Thank you, Nicole. Mr. Flaherty?
Thank you. Stuff I was going to ask was pretty much covered, except I just was curious, how is wrestling participation shaping up for this year? Well,
it grows every day, but the tough nut with wrestling is, and we just got some mats today, so let me explain the whole situation. We're combined with Carver, as you know.
Yeah. We
started that up. Right now we have 5 or 6 kids taking a van there daily. That's a tough hold every day for a kid to go that far and then come back. So we ended up getting some mats from Tabor Academy today that were delivered to the school. Now the other issue is,
where do you put them?
we put them in the phys ed, in the back of the phys ed area, and
to use them.
Excuse me?
I'm sorry.
Oh, so, and what'll happen is this, the problem is we have 5 teams for 1 gym. That's an issue. From 2:30 in the afternoon to literally 9 o'clock at night, every day that's used by the basketball teams. I mean, that's what it's been. We're trying to get wrestling some spots. We even talked about maybe going in the cafeteria so that they could have some practices here so that more kids could see what it's all about, instead of only those few that go all the way to Carver. And we'd actually like to maybe possibly have some meets here, some contests here to show some, maybe this is what wrestling's all about. Years ago in New Bedford, wrestling started very small like this, and it grew into a powerhouse in a short period of time. And that possibly could happen here, but I just don't think the kids know enough about it. We do have something going on with the 8th graders. We want to go around to the 8th graders with posters and things of that nature, and show them what it's all about, and hopefully it'll grow. It's a tough draw right now because of the travel, and we're hoping that it will get better. We do have a coach from the school now that coaches at Carver, and he's a very nice young man that seems very dedicated to wrestling, and he's trying to recruit kids. He's out there daily, and his goal is to get more kids involved from Wareham, and hopefully we can start something here.
And Carver's paying them to coach as well,
Yes.
as they cover all the costs for that sport.
Okay. No, thank you. I'm just going to keep an eye on it. I know you're new, and like what you're trying to do. Thank you.
Yeah. We're going to try.
Madam Superintendent?
If you could just, this moves us ahead to the winter sports. If you could just give us a brief synopsis of how many students have gone out for winter?
Boys basketball had over between 50 and 60 go out for the team. Girls basketball was roughly around 30, right around that area. Ice hockey seems to be up. Ice hockey had, but just from us, probably 15 or so from Wareham, and that's not counting the combination from Carver. What else do we have here?
Track.
The numbers are really up, and I contribute that a lot to the 8th graders and the administration at the middle school letting us go over there and talk to the kids. The girls have big numbers. Again, we're just in the process of getting them all. Probably, he's going to have 30 to 40 girls, it looks like, and the boys are around 20 right now. Hopefully, it'll stay that way. And what else do we have?
Girls hockey.
Girls hockey, we have 4 girls playing on that Bourne, Mashpee, Wareham team. Bourne controls that. And it's been pretty good. And I'm optimistic about, hopefully when I'm sitting here, when is that, March? Maybe?
After we get back from Worcester.
Yes, our records will be a lot better. The boys' team is expected to either win the league or be right in the running for it. The girls' basketball team is in that same type category. I know the ice hockey coach is very enthusiastic about improvement in his team. The track coaches are really excited. This could be the best they've had in a while, we hope. And so, wrestling is and I'm not sure where that is because Carver controls that. And girls ice hockey, I know they're very excited. They got 15 girls, and so we'll see how it all plays out. But I also want to make sure you understand this. The coaches have been working hard, and the kids have tried real hard. It is what it is right now, and we're going to try to get that better all around.
Welcome. I know it's getting late, but I've got quite a few questions that can be answered very quickly.
Sure.
Trust me. The evaluative process for the coaches, we're on a really evaluation thing in terms of professional evaluations. How are the coaches evaluated?
Well, I like to go around and watch them. I watch them have practices. I want to see how they communicate with the kids, how their enthusiasm is. Do they get the kids to play hard? Do they push them in the right direction? Do they look at their grades? And you have a great thing here. I mean, I came from a school system that didn't have this power school. This power school is really good. I can find at the drop of a hat what these kids are doing. They can, on Fridays, there's no excuses to me, like I'm trying to talk to the coaches, that kids should be failing anything, or maybe I shouldn't say that. That could happen. But they should be monitored. On Friday, we have kids that could just print out their power school and give it to the coach, and they'll know what their grades are for the week, attendance. That's a great thing. And in where I came from, they had to write this thing out. And that was kind of a pain in the neck for the teachers. There's nothing like that. It's phenomenal. There's no excuses why students shouldn't be A, B, and C like this all the way through the season. I watch how dedicated they are to this sport. Do they go to any clinics? Do they go to college practices? How are they trying to get their kids into college? What do they do for that? Do they know about the clearinghouse? Do they know all these things? And these are things that,
So
we did on a regular
what you're telling
basis.
me is you observe and so
Yes.
forth. Is there a formal instrument that's used for the coaches?
Yes, there will be in the future. I haven't done that yet because we didn't. I don't know
The
if
contract is up this year. Ed's got about 5 or 6 different ones that he's looking at.
So what you're telling me is up till this point, there has been no formal evaluation process for coaches?
There's an exit interview that occurs, but the contract does not have anything as far as an evaluation.
But the contract doesn't say you can't.
Right. There's an exit interview that's gone on with the previous athletic director.
We can't say the contract doesn't provide for it because it doesn't not provide for it, correct?
Right.
So my point is that, in every other professional setting, from the superintendent on down, professionals are evaluated. And it's been my observation that we're not really doing a good job. And I'm not blaming you because I know you're the new kid on the block. We're not really doing a good job about evaluating our coaches.
Right, and
And
that, what-
there should be a process for
Yeah.
evaluation. There should be, I don't know how it would be done. You know,
No, well,
you're going to be spread so thin. But there should be a process, there should be a reflection, there should be input from the head coaches, whatever way you want to do it.
Mm-hmm.
But what I'm saying to you is, lack of evaluative criteria or evaluative data, you know, is really not being able to put our handle on, you know, exactly what the problems are. So, you know, I don't want to insinuate that I think the problems are with the coaches.
No.
But the reality is,
Yeah.
we're 5-85.
Yeah.
Okay?
Believe me, I know.
So, so I would like to see a uniform evaluative process for coaches and get that done. I'm really kind of surprised that hasn't been done up to this point.
Well, we could use probably a similar thing that they do for the teachers, just tweak it towards athletics. It really
Whatever.
wouldn't be
You
that
put a
difficult to
committee
do.
together, I don't care. But there should, what I'm saying is there
Yes,
should be a formal
I agree.
evaluative
I agree.
program, and there should be, you know, exit interviews, you know.
Well, we
in
do
terms
that.
of,
I just did that
so-
already, but,
And the head coaches should be evaluating their assistant coaches.
agreed.
Can we use the sheriff's department instead of Wareham Police? I'm just asking a question.
Well,
I
I'd rather-
believe there's something, I don't know, it's somewhere, I don't know if it's the town chat, whatever it may be, there's something that says that we have to use the Wareham Police Department. Now, they have, when they can't fill it, they have used sheriff deputies.
I know we've used sheriff deputies before.
But it has to, I believe their contract, it has to go through.
Well, I don't care about their contract.
I understand. But there's, and that'd be something I'm sure the town manager could answer, but I believe it has to go to
Something maybe we should look into.
Well, what I'd like, though, is to have our Paul Baptiste, our resource officer, at our games. That makes, to me, that makes a lot of sense. He
To
knows the
me-
kids, he knows the situation, but according to the police contract, it goes by rotation.
As an
So,
old warhorse,
you know,
teacher and coach, all right? And when I was coaching, I was probably making 75 cents a day, not an hour,
something-
a day.
That's what I'm making.
You know, and so we're making 75 cents a day, and we're paying $80 an hour?
Yeah, it's absurd.
That just makes no sense to me
Police are making more
whatsoever.
than anyone there combined.
Believe me, I know.
So the
I
coaches
see-
are making 75 cents a day,
Yeah,
and we're paying $80 an hour
no.
to watch a game.
But if
So
something happens.
I have a problem with that, I really
understand.
do.
I have a problem with that, too. And I talked to the superintendent about, like this summer, I'm trying to encourage some of our coaches to run camps. And I really want to discuss that with you at another time, that there's too many built-in costs, that the camps would cost too much to run, and you would defeat the whole purpose of getting Wareham kids there. I did this in New Bedford, and I got them to eliminate some costs so that kids from New Bedford could afford to go to the camps. And I think if we could run some camps here at an affordable fee that they have to pay, that would also help participation at the school and get kids involved.
Another thing is, I'm all over town, as much as all the other school committee people are, and the superintendent, and we're very visible. And, you know, I've gone to a lot of JBA games, and I've gone to youth soccer. We've got we've got pretty good youth programs in Wareham. You know, we've got a good youth softball program, a good youth soccer program, a good youth basketball program, both boys and girls. And when I go to these events, and I'm not saying that our coaches have to be at every event, but you know what? Our coaches need to be visible at these community events, especially when it comes to athletics. They need to be visible. They need to be visible at the Tigers. They need to be visible at JBA. They need to be visible at these events. And they need to be talking to coaches and talking to kids, you know. And the season doesn't end the day the season ends. So
You're talking to the wrong person
I'm just
here.
giving you, again, this is just my opinion.
Yeah, I agree with everything you're saying. I mean,
So-
and I'm trying to find coaches. My goal is to find coaches that love their sport, that except for Christmas and a few other days of the year,
Right.
they're doing their sport.
And then the other thing
and
is-
That's the truth.
The other thing is, I know you started a good thing about the coaches, about meet the coaches and the parents. I got a little informal feedback on this last round, and as far as I'm concerned, that's not making it still.
No.
We should make it mandatory.
Yeah.
And this is, again, my opinion.
Well-
We should make it mandatory that those parents meet those coaches. Those coaches need to articulate in detail what the expectation is. not only for the sport, but for conduct and community service on down, and what the expectation is for the parents. So,
Well, what
I
I-
think, that's just my opinion.
No.
I think that we're not getting as much mileage out of that program as we could.
What I'd like to see, this was my first go-around with this, meet the parents and all this, how we do it here. What I would rather see is, when teams are picked, all right, before their first game, have some type of formal night where, all right, your parents have got to come, this is the team, we're going to have a little 1-hour meeting, whatever it is, expectations of your players, expectations of how you act at the games, expectations of everything. That would be great for me.
Expectations of the parents also.
Right, and so, I've done that. I did that with my teams.
So-
All right, it wasn't mandatory where I was, but I did that. I had a parent meeting before, this is how you're gonna act at the games.
Right.
This is how it's gonna be, and that was it.
You know,
But I'd like to see that here, but remember, I'm just jumping into things here.
I know that.
And I
I'm
would
just
love
giving
to.
you my opinions.
Yeah, no. I would think it would be a great idea to have, once teams are picked, before you play your first game, there's some type of parent meeting. And unless, what I used to do is, if your parent couldn't come, I want to see your aunt, your uncle, an
Somebody.
older sister over 21 years
Right.
old or whatever, they got to show up. And if they don't show up, then you set up a meeting with me, and now I'll discuss your son. And if I don't, you're not playing in the game until that happens.
That's fine.
And I did that. Whether, if we can do that here, I have no
And the
problem
school
doing
that
it.
the school I was principal at, we had no problem getting the parents there.
Yeah.
And we had, but I've said it before, and I'm gonna say it again, what we had was workshops, not only for the kids, but for
Oh,
the
the
parents. And they attended, there was some general sessions, and then they broke up by teams into workshops. So that's another thing. And, in terms of the wrestling, that's what we did, Ed, we had it in the cafeteria.
Yeah,
But the
you know,
janitors hated it, though.
Well, I don't really want it, we just, we spent, well, I know they spent good money on that gym floor.
Yeah.
And I want to keep that floor, matter of fact, I've been sweeping it every day right now, to be
We
honest
had,
with you.
they had,
I
actually,
wanna-
I even think they had their meats in the cafeteria.
Yeah.
So,
The floor is beautiful, we want to keep it that way.
thank you
And,
for listening, thank you
No
for
problem.
being there, and thank you for coming to Wareham, and I got great expectations.
I hope so.
We want to thank Brenda Parsons, part-time athletic secretary, and Michael McMillan for helping out with this presentation as well, so thank you to them as well.
I want to personally thank them. Michael was a big help to me. My first go-around with this, he was tremendous. And my secretary, Brenda, and Scott was great with me, too.
Very good.
Everybody actually has been really good to me.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
We look forward to the winter report.
Mr. Palladino, why don't you look into the old Boys and Girls Club, the gym area for wrestling? Have that dialogue.
I think it belongs to the co-op right now.
Not 24 hours.
Okay,
Everybody
moving
wants
along. Superintendent reports. Madam Superintendent?
Thank you. I would ask Mr. McMillan just to provide just a very brief overview about our Budget Advisory Committee, where we're at.
Thank you. Good evening, School Committee. We've had 2 meetings with the Budget Advisory Committee. I should say actually 2 sessions, where the first session we met with a Budget Advisory Committee, the superintendent and myself, and we met with each of the principals from each school and the directors to discuss their budget proposals, to review their current staffing and their budget proposals for next year. And in preparation for that, we've done as much as possible. We've been trying to do a zero-based budget, which means we try to build the budget up from the ground. It's not quite there 100%, but as far as possible, we're trying to detail everything that we want to spend under each account line. So it's a long process, but I think it really adds value to the outcomes. So that was the first meeting. We've had a second meeting with just the superintendent and I and the Budgetary Advisory Committee. It allowed us to sort of review the situation and where we are now. And that took place earlier this week. We have superintendent and I have subsequently met with the principals and directors to discuss some of the outcomes of those discussions, and we are continuing to put together to develop the budget before presenting it before the next step with the school committee. That's our sort of a brief synopsis of where we've got to.
Any questions for Mr. McMillan? All set? Okay. Next item is Superintendent's Advisory Committee.
Yes, my Superintendent's Advisory Committee, the date for the application has closed, so now we're going through. I will be bringing to the committee a list of the members at the next meeting, and I would ask the chair to please appoint 2 members of the school committee to my advisory committee, either at this meeting or at the next meeting.
Very good. Thank you. School committee reports. At this particular time, all committees all set? No reports? Moving right along. Any other business?
Well, I do want to just mention that the Policy Review Committee is going to meet December 10th.
Okay.
To go over some more policies.
Thank you. Any other business? Mr. Flaherty?
I spoke to Rhonda before we came to this meeting today, and just because she was going to be out and wasn't sure if I had a chair, if you were going to be here or not. And I just asked her if there was a time set yet for the next meeting with the Board of Selectmen, because I think we had said it was going to be sometime after December 15th, and there's been no communication yet about that. So.
I have no information.
No, she hasn't talked with Peter yet, and she was going to send him a text when I got off the phone.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you for bringing that up.
Yeah.
Are you going to check with Rhonda again?
Sure.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Any other? Mr. Fonts?
I should have asked, Mike, I know you sent an email. Is it the next meeting that you're going to do the activities report?
Yes, so at the next meeting of the school committee, we'll have the sort of report of the budget up to the end of November and the student activity accounts.
Okay, thank you.
What was the second thing?
The student activity accounts. So I've been working with the high school and the middle school primarily to work up that presentation.
Good.
Any other business? I'll entertain a motion.
To adjourn, so moved.
Second.
Second? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
We are adjourned. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you.
Thank you.